Afternoon or good morning or good whatever, wherever you are. If you're online, we are starting the session with this group on AI and data visitation, which is composed of 5 different reports from 5 different working groups. And I am one of the co-chairs of this working group. And I'd like to start right now because we have quite a charged agenda with lots of presentations and we hope a very lively discussion. My name is Claudia Bowser Medeiros. I'm from Brazil. And the other 2 co-chairs are Francis Crawley from Belgium. I'm sorry, I don't tell if you, oh, thank you. And Natalie is working. Oh, thank you. And Natalie Myers from the United States. Okay. So let me start. No, let me start calling Natalie. That will present an overview of our activities and deliverables. Natalie, are you online?
Hello, Claudia. I'm online. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. So
okay, I need rights to share my screen.
You may share your screen whenever.
I have a message saying I cannot start screen sharing while the other participant is sharing.
Oh, can you? What? That's okay. Try again, please, Natalie. The person who's helping us here says you can try again.
How about now?
Oh, it's perfect. So
terrific. I can be your slide runner.
Just about 10 minutes off, but we can squeeze this in. And you now have about 10 minutes. So I'll let you know when your time is to be over. Please tell us more about what we do in our group.
I will. Thank you, Claudia. And to everyone who has joined us today, we appreciate you being with us. On this screen, you see some information about our group. And here I'm going to share in the chat with you, if you are online, some links that you can use to join us to participate in today's session. I invite you to our shared notes document. And in that shared notes document, you will see an opportunity to participate in the agenda today. I also invite you to visit some other things during the slides as we progress. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our fellowship program. We have been running this with some terrific fellows, Luis and Ugochi. And Luis and Ugochi, are you online?
No, they are not.
I have a video to play from them, if that would be okay. So they're going to talk to us about their experience as fellows of the AIDV, the impact of our fellowship program, and how creating an equitable, inclusive, and decolonialized forum for tackling the sustainable development goals and ensuring real-world outcomes for tomorrow's digitalized global, regional, national, and local communities has helped them to engage with the topic of artificial intelligence and data visitation. Here, I will play for you a video. This will take me just a second. And I beg your patience while I do that. And that is not working. Let's see what we can do about that. Not being allowed access to their video. So we'll return to that in a moment if that access is granted. In the meantime, I invite you to come with me a little bit further on to hear about results of the pilot of a global survey on AI and large language models from our colleague Eilif. Is Eilif in the room?
Eilif is in the room.
Terrific. I can be a slide runner for Eilif.
Oh, okay. So, I don't, Eilif had to leave for a millisecond.
Okay.
She's just returned after the millisecond.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. I'll hold while Eilif prepares to deliver her presentation.
So, how do I write these things? I know, yeah. So, are you going to run them for me? All right.
I'm happy to run them for you.
Okay. So we can just go. So, what I'm going to present today is the preliminary results of the survey. This is here. All right, without the microphone. Okay. All right. So today I'm going to present the preliminary results of the of our survey. Actually, this is our first deliverable, and this was supposed to be this survey was supposed to be on a few months ago, but we had some difficulties, so we decided to just run it as a pilot survey in Turkey. And these are the preliminary results of that survey. So we're still working on this survey, and as soon as we finalize it, we're going to air it so that you can all participate and also run the survey in your countries as well. So as you see in the slide, this survey has been developed by the EOS Future and RDA AIDV working group, and we can change the slide. And the aim of the survey is to gather insights from scientists, educators, members of ethics committees on the potential benefits and challenges regarding the use of AI and help in the development of global approaches to legal frameworks, consent ethics review, and rights in the context of AI. Slide, please. So the methodology that we followed was participatory bioethics, which involves multiple stakeholders and interested partners throughout the entire research process, starting from shaping research ideas and questions, so that various interest and contextual requirements, as well as the type of impact they envision, are embedded into the research question. And the central ethical commitment of this approach is fostering reflection and open dialogue rather than adhering to a specific ethical framework. I think this is really important because in terms of AI ethics, we are still discussing appropriate frameworks. So this kind of a methodology was really very suitable for our research. So, as I said, the original survey was founded by our working group, and then we had a Turkish research team, which was quite interdisciplinary. As you see, we have people from biomedical engineering, law, biochemistry, bioethics, political sciences, and humanities. So they also advised some questions, and we put them in the survey as well, so that to enhance the questionnaire. Here we see the academic positions of the participants. We can just go to the next slide. And so the question was using ChatGPT as an education or research tool. And you see the results here. Most of the participants said that they use it as a tool for education or research. And then the second cluster was a tool for information source. Slide, please. And then we asked about the benefits and risks of ChatGPT that is brought to education. And most of the participants said that they see it as a getaway to plagiarism and other forms of research dishonesty by students, and then available education tool for students to learn how to do research. So you see the benefits and risks, you know, are very close to each other. Slide, please. So what benefits can ChatGPT can bring to science? Well, most of the participants said that it can be a valuable tool in terms of providing accessible scientific opportunities, and then a valuable tool for contributing to research in science, and thirdly, a valuable data and knowledge integration tool for science. Slide, please. Again, slide, please. Oops, okay, that chart went somewhere. I don't know where. Okay, again, all right. So the effects of ChatGPT on the development of open science. You see this slide was divided into greens and reds, but the green one is looking more like brown here. So the first ones, which are looking brownish, were very much focusing on the positive effects, and the red ones on risks. So let's have a look at the potential benefits. Most of the participants said that ChatGPT will aid the progress of open science by improving knowledge sharing. And then it will contribute to the advancement of open science by enhancing knowledge production. I'm not going to go through all these items, but if we have a look at the risks, we see that on the top of the list, it will harm open science by diminishing education of emerging scientists, and it will hinder open science by diminishing academics' intellectual property rights. So again, there is some kind of a balance between the risks and benefits they see on similar issues. And what are the ethical issues that ChatGPT raises? Plagiarism or other forms of scientific fraud takes the lead here. And then we have decreased trust in science, and then bias in the presentation of scientific knowledge, discrimination or stigmatization against individuals and or groups, and errors or bias in reporting facts, results, and conclusions. Actually, we have seen some of the implications of these thoughts in real life, especially. Of course, that was before the emerge of generative AI, ChatGPT, but during the COVID-19, we had quite a infodemics. So we already saw that AI and AI tools, the echo chambers and epistemic bubbles play a role in errors or bias in reporting facts, results, and conclusions. So next slide, please. ChatGPT and other forms of AI or LLMs are a benefit or threat to society. The ones who saw it as beneficial said that AI and LLMs will advance science and will contribute to scientific research. These were the leading ones. And in terms of harmful impact, they will lead to misinformation and disinformation, hinder intellectual activity and problem solving, leading future generations to become overly dependent on technology and artificial intelligence, and they will make it impossible to distinguish between human and AI thought and creativity. Next slide, please. So risks and benefits to active citizenship. The risks were the leading one was that it can replace human employees, and shortcomings in information preparation can be a problem. And in terms of benefits, enhancing government agencies' citizen services and expediting government agencies' citizen services. Slide, please. Okay, I think this is my last slide. And it is about general considerations of participants on ethics committees and ethics role in terms of AI and LLMs. So let me start from the beginning. Participants said that ethics committee members should receive training to review proposals on AI and LLMs. And ethics has a role to play in giving direction and governance of AI and LLM. No restriction should there be, depending on geography, political belief, or any other factor. Ethics committees should review the development of AI and LLMs Of course, this should, I don't know how this can really be reflected to real life, because we can all agree that ethics committees should review, but I don't know if we can really find a effective way to do it. Of course, we have to discuss. And then explicit consent should be required from all users, specifying what data and how their data will be collected, stored, analyzed, and protected, and support like 55% of the participants supported the Future of Life Institute call for a pause of at least 6 months on the riskiest and most resource-intensive AI experiments. So these are the preliminary results. As I said, the pilot study in Turkey is still on, and it's going to be on like 2 weeks. And then we're going to stop having answers. And by that time, I think we're going to finalize the global survey, and then we can air it too. So thank you very much for your attention.
So Natalie, I think Louise's video is available. I don't know, but before, maybe it's best to give the microphone to Ann Thompson, who's going to moderate the discussion. Thank you.
So now the presentation from Elif on this ChatGPT survey is open for discussion. Anyone having a comment or a question? Would you like to run this survey in your own context? I come with a microphone to you. Or you can use that one. Yeah, please, and tell who you are.
Oh, sorry, I'm Nina Lewis. I'm from Monash University.
The questions are on the screen.
Yeah.
for the
Sorry,
discussion.
question
Yeah.
to the.
No, but you can also have your own question.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I didn't really understand the context of what was, how the survey was constructed. So those risks that you had up on the graphs, was it sort of free text, or did you prescribe? Okay.
The microphone.
Yeah, we prescribed them, but also there was a box, for people to put
Yeah.
their own answers in as well.
I mean, just a comment coming. I work in I work in artificial intelligence for law enforcement and community safety. And from that perspective, I can see a wide range of risks of AI that are not represented in sort of a very research. I mean, this is AI law enforcement research use, but it's quite a different framework of potential risk. So I was just curious as to whether people weren't perceiving that as a risk, or whether
So
this wasn't
maybe
mentioned.
actually the question which was on the screen before, the first question was, how can we as a group involve data scientists in this kind of survey? And maybe you are one who can actually contribute.
I am not a data scientist. I'm data ethics. So but I do work with a lot of much of my lab is data scientists. Not my lab, I'm not the director. How can we engage? Yeah, I guess it is just putting the call out. I'm not sure what your existing channels are.
So let me just clarify one thing. The sentences that I put on the slides, they are not all the prescribed answers. So they are only the top listing ones. But still, what you said is the essence of participatory bioethics research. So I mean, we would really appreciate if you can provide some of the risks and benefits that you see that we haven't put on survey, because of course we have a diverse group, but we may have missed some of the main things because we just
I think,
may.
I guess what I was coming from
Yeah.
is my perception of the risks that were emerging, and this may be because of the survey group or not, whether they did appear to be risks as seen through the eyes of research users, not necessarily risks at a social level or the level of people who are represented within data sets, or potential future applications of also, sorry, I apologize. I'm here sort of through the co-data stream, so I'm not across all the RDA stuff. But also, I'm not clear if it was just about ChatGPT. I sort of missed what you were saying about generative AI. I can give you a use case around generative AI.
Yeah, we
you're
would really
interested, but-
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I think you have put your finger or your voice on something which is important. Our working group is on AI in general and the ethical, legal, societal aspects. And ChatGPT is just one use case. Our working group is not on ChatGPT. So all your comments about AI risks or benefits or are very welcome, because this is just one case study using ChatGPT as an example of AI, but ChatGPT is not summarizing the whole world of AI, and our working group is broader than that. So please contribute and don't be afraid of going out of the ChatGPT.
Oh,
survey.
and just 1 second, just to remind everybody who's here, virtually or not, to enter your name and affiliation, the notes, and add to the notes as we go on. Thank you.
Do we have to move or do we have time for?
Oh, we still have 20.
Okay, we have
10
some.
we have 20 minutes for
sometimes
more
on the-
discussion.
Yes, please.
Natalie, if you can show the questions. Oh,
think
yeah,
there
they are.
there is a
Thank you.
question.
Mark Nyssen, Brussels, medical informatics is my field. First of all, the bias of the example is a bit misleading because the domain is much larger,
Yes.
and I think has extreme benefits for robotics and for automatization and for decision support. The problem with AI I see is for the deep learning systems, sometimes we don't know the mechanisms that work and that give conclusions. Secondly, as an engineer, you want to know, you don't want to know one number, you want to know one number plus the uncertainty. And the uncertainty is often not given by the AI systems, although they can be spectacular. But I think as a scientist, we need to know these two things. What are the mechanisms, exact mechanisms that lead to the results? And what are the uncertainties? And as long as these two are not well answered, we have a problem.
I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that, but my own comment would be that, just come to the microphone while I'm making a comment. I think that we are in a festival of data, and what you underline is what we need is the data. And understand what is behind all the process, which data all these AI are based on. That's part of the thing, and then the process, and then the uncertainty, and that the whole topic. I think for data scientists, they make tools, but at the beginning and at the end, it's the quality of the data that are important, and that often what we don't know with a number of AI tools.
Yes, Pedro Luis Pizigatti Correa, University of São Paulo, Brazil. Just some comments. One important discussion here is about the transparency of this AI generative. For science, is very important, have some transparency. This is something that we discuss here. Another aspect is use case in science, in generative AI in science, in open science. So would be important, but maybe here in this community, to register some use cases. Yesterday, we have some discussion about, for example, we can use generative AI in data exploring. You give questions, and they give some in repository. They give some results for you. This is one discussion. Another discussion that we had yesterday about the application was how could be use this for data preparation in data science experiment. AI, you use generative AI. So this would be important to maybe in this community to register some use cases, maybe. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, you are exactly in the second question. What actions are we going, our deliverable lead to now? I don't know if, Francis, you want to say something about it?
No, good.
I think you had another question, yes.
Thank you. Christian Oman from ECRIN. I would be interested in first, is it citable? I know that some journals or many journals do not allow citation of ChatGPT. Second point is, how can we assure repeatability or reproducibility? A version of the tool alone is not enough. So is it lost? Is it not possible anymore in the future? It is a result which cannot be created again. If not, the whole process in all details is maybe documented. I think this discussion is important.
Of course, the sources and the reliability of, and in that case, the result is the answer to the question, are of key importance. We had a full session on that yesterday, not specifically about AI, but it applies also to AI.
I think there are a couple of questions on the chat, but I do not have access to the chat. Natalie, can you check the chat to see the questions, please?
I don't see any questions in the chat right now, Claudia.
Oh, okay. So because I see there are two questions on some chat. Okay, so it's not ours. I'm sorry, Anne. I just wanted to give a chance to the public.
Yeah, of course. Yes, that's important. Anyone wanted to continue?
And I think just in connection to the last question or statement, which I think is important, I think we also will see persistent identifiers being used for the different platforms. So we'll have to have some kind of identifications. Not an ORCID that got voted down in Gothenburg, but something like an ORCID number, or somehow also that these maybe ORCID will expand and also be able to include, so people can include the different data sources or the AI sources that they're using as well.
And if I may compliment on horizontal actions for across data discipline sectors, whatever, if I may, because I'm behind here, you cannot see me, right?
That's fine.
There is a matter of advocacy and awareness. So being part of RDA is very important because the work becomes visible. And therefore, all these groups can be made aware of the opportunities offered by some of the results that we are bringing about. So that's one.
That's always important to remind that we are part of RDA.
Yes.
We're applying the same rules and
exactly,
principles.
yes.
So if there is no more comment, I think these questions, you will see them after each deliverable presentation. And we may have in the end a global, when you have a global view of what has been produced so far, we may have a good discussion capturing these two questions, covering the whole deliverables, because it's difficult to answer them one deliverable by one deliverable. as they are all related to each other.
Uh-huh.
So we could, if you wanted, we could play Lewis's
Yes, that's what I.
presentation.
Yes,
We can do that from here. Natalie doesn't have to do that.
Natalie can access the video now. I
No,
think.
sorry, we can access it here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we play now a video by Luis about the fellowship program.
Yeah,
which
maybe
was blocked
before we play the video, just to say something about the fellowship program, because Lewis was one of our fellows. I think we had 8 or 9 fellows in total. And so I think this is one of the first times we really used fellows within the RDA, and it worked out very, very well. It was really important to receive our deliverables, but it was also, and you'll hear it from Lewis a bit, and Ugochi was a fantastic fellow as well. I don't think we have her video though, but from Lewis, you should have it there. Okay, it's okay. Maybe.
Okay, so maybe because somehow there was a message saying you now have access to the video, but I thought it was to Natalie, the message. It was in German.
It's okay.
Okay, so perhaps Natalie, we should continue because right after this discussion, there should be a video by Alexander Bernier.
Yeah, so we're okay with Lewis. We'll go with it.
Oh, you have the Alexander
we
video.
found it. We found it.
Okay.
Good day, I'm Luis Jacob Retanan from the Philippines, and I'm a research fellow of the Artificial Intelligence and Data Visitation Working Group of the Research Data Alliance and European Open Science Cloud. First of all, I would like to express my deepest thanks to Mr. Francis Crowley and to Professors Edith Ekmechi and Claudia Medeiros in welcoming me to this group and giving me the opportunity to be one of its research fellows. This is my first time to join a research fellowship program, and I'm a bit nervous and intimidated at first, to be honest, since I do not specialize in AI, although I'm really interested about it, particularly the ethical and philosophical questions that it raises. But as everyone has been so supportive and kind, it creates a very engaging atmosphere in the group. The different backgrounds, together with shared passions of my colleague, really motivated me and broadened my understanding of AI and its various applications. But most importantly, I gained first-hand experience of open science and all of its benefits. And what I can say is that, first, it is a very fulfilling experience. As part of the working group's team focusing on developing a guidance on informed consent in the context of AI, being able to discuss and contribute with my co-fellow and mentors in creating something meaningful and valuable really highlighted the importance of open science in building collaborative knowledge networks and fostering international research cooperation. Second, it is a very enlightening experience being able to attend conferences and seminars on the impact of AI on research and other fields of knowledge through this working group. And as a humble government employee, I come to appreciate the potential of open science in advancing national development by strengthening a country's national research infrastructure. Now, as AI becomes the manifestation of the phrase, knowledge is power, open science has become even more important so as to ensure that such power is used responsibly and for the good of humanity. Towards this goal, as a research fellow of this working group, I aim to commit myself to. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Luis is not on the line. That's why he sent us this video, and it just is a very nice video that recognizes this program. And now I'd like to continue because scheduled is a recorded presentation on our deliverable 2, which is guidance on legal considerations for AI and data visitation. Who's going to present this? Is it Natalie or is it you over here? It's Alexander Bernier.
I'm Luis Jacob Retanan, and
Oh, Natalie has says he does not have the video here. So, and deliverable, you say go to deliverable 3, which is Noémie Dubruel, Gauthier-Chasson from France. And then Luis Retanan, who just spoke to us, plus Anne Cambon-Thompson, who's moderating the discussion. And Christy Hackett from Canada.
I am screen sharing, but I don't see my screen on your display.
No, you are sharing okay, so that's informed content, that's deliverable 3, and you are sharing the slides.
Correct. I can play now for you the recording.
Please play. Yes, please do play. Let's see how it works.
good day. I'm Luis Jacob Retanan, and together with my colleague Noemi, we will be discussing the efforts of our team in providing guidance on informed consent in the context of artificial intelligence and data visitation. Good. The guidance that we are developing is based on 30 landmark documents on data protection and AI from the United Nations and Europe. These documents are able to highlight the challenges as well as opportunities for informed consent in the age of AI. First, the prevalence of AI today presents a significant challenge to the conception and practice of informed consent due to the following problems. First, big data analytics. AI is trained through enormous data sets that dehumanizes sensitive data and hinders meaningful exercise of autonomy. Second, black box problem. Algorithms of AI systems are often too complex to be understood, which create problems in transparency and in practicing informed consent. And third, attention extraction business model, wherein AI becomes a tool of persuasion that hacks cognitive processes of the individual in order to sustain engagement. So given these problems, we are convinced that traditional notions of informed consent would no longer work. Given that sensitive information has become key for AI systems in providing services and products, it has then become important that the individual plays a huge role in exercising and developing informed consent frameworks. With that, we are looking on the potential of broad, dynamic, and processual frameworks of informed consent as ways to sustain the practice in the age of AI. Sustaining and enhancing the practice of informed consent is crucial in fostering trust in this age, and trust is necessary in forwarding the UN Sustainable Development Goals, as close cooperation among multiple stakeholders needs to happen in order to realize these goals into practicable initiatives.
As Louis said, we insist on the fact that informed consent is essential to protect individuals' autonomy, self-determination, and to respect fundamental rights and principles at international and European level. As a general recommendation, we propose a reconsideration of the classic form of informed consent in order to move towards a more flexible notion. The form of informed consent could be modulated according to the field and the purpose of the use of AI, but the content would remain fixed. Therefore, the dynamic approach to consent seems to be the most appropriate to us. More specifically, we propose recommendations for different levels and collaboration to consider all actors involved to the use of AI for data visitation, sorry. First, in our view, the role of civil society is to help raise people's awareness of the issues surrounding the use of AI and data sharing in order to highlight the importance of informed consent. From the research point of view, civil society can provide a participatory and multidisciplinary approach to the development of appropriate informed consent and the raise individuals' awareness of the issues of AI transparency and data protection. Then, governments are the best actors to raise these stakeholders' awareness of the use of informed consent and balancing national security, individual privacy, and social equity. Governments are able to control that AI research and development initiatives incorporate informed consent to maintain the trust and autonomy of the individual. International organizations could provide guidelines. The idea is to consider this actor as a key player in promoting informed consent and respect for ethical principles in the use of AI, DV, and open science without prejudice to international humanitarian law. Academicians could contribute to identify most convincing forms of informed consent and collaborate with other actors and in order to consider the specificity and complexity of AI, especially in research methodologies requiring the use of AI in the processing of sensitive data. At last, industrials must consider informed consent in the provision of products, services, or even marketing techniques in AI systems to promote transparency and trust, for example, via the white box principle. Industrials also have a role to play in the societal reflection that is underway regarding the deployment of AI as the consequent affirmation of human autonomy. Finally, in our deliverable 3, we proposed to precise our recommendation for informed consent in AIDV in the context of specific cases as for clinical, non-clinical, and genetic research in health. I don't have much time to explain this, but please do not hesitate to read this deliverable. As Louise said, we insist on the fact that informed consent is essential to protect individuals' autonomy.
Okay, so that was Louise from the Philippines and Noémie Dubruel from France, both fellows. And I would like to just to
conclude, I would like to thank Louise, Gauthier, Anne, and Christy for their hard work over several months in producing this deliverable. And thanks to Francis, Nathalie, Claudia, and to all members of the RDA AIDV working group. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any question, do not hesitate to contact Louise or me via the email in the slide.
Okay, sorry about that, interrupted the video. All of these, we're going to have 5 deliverables, all of which will have reports and recommendations to RDA. And we are in the final process of finishing these reports because our group will end its reports by middle of next year. Okay, so deliverable number 4 is guidance for ethics committees. Nathalie, what do we have in terms of material or presentations or recordings? I don't remember. Can you tell us? Okay, is there a video or you are going to?
Here we see the information provided by the Deliverable 4 team, preparing guidance for ethics committees, reviewing AI and DV. And next, on the AI Bill of Rights. Do we have anyone here today from Deliverable 4?
I am afraid not.
Then we could move forward for AI Bill of Rights unless someone is here from Deliverable.
Francis said something.
maybe I'll say something about deliverable.
Oh,
4. Is that
oh,
okay?
Francis will just sum up deliverable 4.
Yeah. So thank you for your patience with all of this. What we tried to do in the working group was to look at the different aspects in ethics where we thought there would be a strong impact from AI and data visitation as well. So we wanted to look at the role of consent, and you saw Naomi and Louis presented that. They did that very much under the guidance of Anne and her colleague Gaultier as well. A fantastic team, and others were involved in it too, I believe, but it's a fantastic deliverable. Consent has become one of the most complicated issues, perhaps especially in Europe, but globally as well, with regard to data, but now even more so, I would say, with regard to AI, and it will become a big issue with regard to data visitation as well. We don't speak about that so much yet, but we will. And then the other thing we wanted to look at was the role of ethics committees, and establish ethics committees, for example, ethics review boards or ethics review committees or IRBs, or whatever you call them. We know that in some countries, they are playing a role in reviewing not only, let's say, research that involves AI, and as we know, for example, now, if you review European Commission projects, there's a question on there about AI. Does this research involve AI? And it goes to the ethics committee to review that there as well. But also, we know local, national committees, many places in the world are also looking at this. But also then there's also the question of what other kinds of committees do we need, or ethics committees, or do we need special AI committees? And we're seeing that also being developed all around Europe as well. So these are the questions that were being asked here. And within this group, really under the leadership, I should say, really of Valerie there with her team from Belarus, and then from Belarus, and then Chalice in the US. Chalice is one of the leading people, I think, in the US working on this with the IRBs in the US. So they have produced a guidance here, and that guidance is finished, but it will be reviewed by our working group, and then it'll be reviewed by the RDA, and we'll see how we go forward with it. And then the next one.
So the next one will be presented. It's our 5th delivery, which is an AI Bill of Rights, which is being led by Natalie. So Natalie, if you can.
Yeah, and then after that, we can go back to Alexander.
We'll open for discussion.
After that, we go back to Alexander.
Oh, you found Alexander.
Yeah, I found Alexander. But first, we'll do Natalie.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for tolerating our hybrid approach. We have so many contributors from many different countries. I have had the privilege to work on the AI Bill of Rights deliverable, where our aim is to produce AI Bill of Rights communiques for the EASC Future Project and the Research Data Alliance that promote fundamental human rights and advance trust in AI and federated systems for open science. I worked with Ayuchi Ezebo, Shiny Martis, and Ronan Piranen and Yiyang Su. It was a pleasure to work with such a broad team with many interests. Next, you will see some of the tenets of our work that motivated our output. We hold as important tenets of our work that adoption of AI bills of rights and policies within member organizations will create mutual trust and benefits for all, and that prioritization of AI governance will improve the longevity and relevance of research environments and communities like the European Open Science Cloud and the Research Data Alliance. How did we construct our activity? We focused as a working group as a whole at the AIDV working group level on a report to the EASC Future Project and recommendations and guidelines for the Research Data Alliance membership. We did that through creation of a shared library of citations that were from a review of emerging jurisdictional and special interest AI rights and protections literature. And we noticed in that literature review that it would become necessary to inform constituents of AI bills of rights on the layering and balancing of rights and protections. For example, here on the left, you see jurisdictional AI acts at the national level, the regional level, the continental level, and the world level. While here on the right, you can see that there may be AI rights and policies developed at the level of disciplines or niche membership organizations, and that all of these together create a hybrid environment that we interact in when we run AI in research and community, governmental, and societal realms. Within those bills of rights, we created a matrix of rights and protections where we looked at different rights, for example, consent, copyright, provenance, authorship, and how those rights protected various parties. You hear a little bit more about that from the legal output group. And together, these inform our approach to reviewing emerging jurisdictional and special interest rights and protections. Our shared library is tagged by country, by AI subteam, risk, consent, legal, and more. You'll also see a categorization by AI in education environments, AI in healthcare and medicine, privacy and surveillance rights related to AI, and much more. So I encourage you to visit our shared library and use that mutually created resource. The other thing we did was take a detailed look at regional, country, and municipal level policies and their focus. Here we have examples in our outputs from many countries and regions. And I encourage you to look at how those might impact you in the context of where you run your AI, whose data it runs against, and who the protected parties represented in that data are. Mm-hmm. What we come out with in our draft recommendations are that there are essential elements of responsible AI. And then it's important to formalize the definition of AI in your community, document key roles and responsibilities related to AI, outline acceptable and unacceptable uses of AI for your community. These are the heart of any AI acceptable use policy, that within a group running AI or dealing with AI and how it impacts their group, it's important to have an oversight committee. That oversight committee's function is to oversee your AI systems, how you allocate resources to those systems, and how you develop and maintain AI governance policies and procedures for your community. It's also essential to have AI training and education. Otherwise, your working groups can't be performant. It's important to offer learning opportunities on introduction to AI, on ethical considerations for AI, as well as training on development of AI strategy, effective AI governance, and risk management. Because if we don't do these in addition to training on product or project management for AI, we're really missing out on the ethics side and the governance side, especially in industry applications of AI. It's also important to have an AI impact assessment plan and a method for doing ongoing monitoring. Thinking about whether you'll have a human in the loop, a human over the loop, or a human out of the loop monitoring plan for your organization and its AI systems. Finally, we've talked today already about transparency, notice, and disclosure, but in your plan for responsible AI, you have to make these things known, documented to your membership community. How transparent is your AI, and how are you making notices and disclosures about that? For example, how often are you retraining your AI? Finally, it's important to test your AI systems for bias and to identify different types of biases: systemic, human, computational. Mitigating that bias will require action at each stage of the AI lifecycle. How will we do impact assessment for responsible AI? Because it's essential to govern systems that can potentially cause certain harms, and it's essential to assess the impacts of AI systems, we recommend the below impact assessment elements as essential to prioritize parts of responsible AI strategy for any group. This could be your membership organization, your company, your university, your hospital, or your jurisdiction and community. You'll need to determine your AI system impact assessment process, how you'll document your impact assessments, how you'll be assessing AI system impact on individuals and groups of individuals, how you'll be assessing societal impacts of AI systems, and how you will manage your AI system impact assessment process.
Mhm.
AI alignment is the safety and research process that will ensure your AI systems achieve desired outcomes. If you're creating or implementing an AI or AI policy, you'll need to be able to define the system or policy's desired outcomes and articulate how you'll document the process for monitoring, measuring, and logging where you achieve and where you fall short of desired outcomes and benefits of the use of AI or your AI policy. Any group creating or implementing an AI or AI policy should consider auditable detection for bias, auditable detection for privacy violations, and have a control and escalation process that assigns responsibility for investigation, a process for the investigation, and a process for notification and disclosure of violations. Those, along with a process for reconciliation or restitution to impacted individuals and groups, will help you mitigate and correct consequences of non-aligned AI. Finally, AI governance can be approached from a human rights, risk-based, or safety-based motivation, or a combination of all three. In contrast to an exclusively risk-based governance, we recommend adoption of a human rights-based approach so that members of the RDA community will hold not only our own work accountable for future generations, but also provide actionable guidance to those guiding and regulating this fast-moving field in the future. AI governance organizations like RDA and ES Future have a remit to go beyond the risk-based rhetoric that dominates corporate AI governance strategies. Due to our open international membership, we have a need to prioritize and accommodate the perspectives and disparities of and between developing countries, alongside the needs of companies and countries at the forefront of AI development and adoption. It's important that we consider the increasing call for global coordination of artificial general intelligence governance, and that we call on the ES Future and RDA to take up leading roles in aligning practitioners to center human rights, including the rights of model creators and deployers, as core principles in AI and data governance, research, development, and deployment activities. With that, I thank you. I invite you to comment on our draft deliverable. I'll pop a link in the chat and the notes. And I really appreciate your attention to AI Bills of Rights in the international community. Now I think we're flipping back.
We'll thank you, Natalie, for a very, as usual, illuminating presentation. And now France, oh yes, thank you. And now Francis will play a video on our deliverable 2, which is guidance on legal considerations for AIDV. And the group is composed of Alexander Bernier from Canada, and Ngozi Okenbo from Nigeria, and Hui Kang from Hong Kong. And the video was prepared by Alexander Bernier, who is in Canada.
I'm going to take a brief moment to give you an update on the activities of the Legal and Ethical Sub-Working Group. We've been working on the issue of secure processing environments for open science. Now, what are secure processing environments and why are they relevant to open science? A secure processing environment is a catch-all term that we use to refer to spaces in which researchers can analyze data that have been contributed for research purposes whilst minimizing the potential infringement of individual privacy rights. This could refer to federated analysis as it's now practiced, as well as the analysis of data within walled gardens. So that is environments where researchers can bring their code and can even look at the data and analyze it, but can't withdraw it from the infrastructure. The idea is to maximize the ability of researchers to look at and to analyze information whilst mitigating the associated privacy risks, either by blinding the researchers to the underlying data, or else by preventing them from withdrawing the information from the infrastructure, even if they can see it and use it while analyzing it. This responds to a regulatory challenge, which we've identified in the course of our research. One thing that came up a lot in researching this deliverable is that whilst open science tends to occur in large, loosely structured networks, consortia, if you will, involving a large number of different partners and participants, the regulatory environment in the European Union and frankly worldwide tends to conceive of regulated information users in an atomistic way. It looks at the responsibilities, the behaviors of specific organizations, and regulates them on a piecemeal basis, one by one, in the use of information. This can create challenges for research networks to achieve meaningful compliance, because whilst their overall information use really happens with each partner contributing a little bit of the infrastructure or a little bit of the analysis that's required to perform a larger research effort, often these organizations will be required to show their homework, to show that they've been doing a good job in achieving meaningful compliance at the level of the specific organization. If we take the General Data Protection Regulation as an example, specific controllers are held accountable for the use of information and are ultimately responsible for the way that that information is used and for demonstrating that it's been used in a way that complies with general principles of fairness, accountability, minimization of information use, and so forth. In order to develop a new regulatory framework that could consider the fact that open science and science in general tends to happen in a networked manner, and to change the way that this information use is regulated in order to account for this rather distinct, rather unique structure, we propose a few different changes. We propose, namely, a licensing-based approach in which specific organizations would be required to demonstrate compliance for the way that they collectively use information. And in order to make this structure a little bit more digestible, a little bit more comprehensible to networks of researchers in their day-to-day operations, it would be structured a little bit like a research ethics committee, in which delegated committees of technical experts and community representatives would bring binding decisions on whether particular uses of information within a specified secure processing environment were compatible with the law. This wouldn't replace existing EU information on regulation, but it would supplement it and create a different model that is attuned to the practical activities of researchers practicing in the area of open science. I'll switch back a few slides here and just add that this model that we're proposing isn't coming out of thin air. Rather, we're building our ideas on previous work that has been done in the area of federated data analysis and data access committees that respond to case-by-case requests to access specific pieces of information. And our principal contention is that most of the work that's needed to establish this new regulatory framework has already been done by research organizations acting in a self-organized way. The last thing that would be required to transition this model into practice is its specific confirmation through an EU regulatory instrument that would essentially give these newfangled committees the ability to issue binding determinations on whether or not a specified information use within a secure processing environment was compliant with the applicable ethical principles regulatory principles, and other norms. We're excited to share a draft of this report with you very shortly. We hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening to me and have a great rest of your conference.
Okay, so there is Alexander in Canada. And now back to Natalie so she can show us what we are going to discuss now under direction of Anne.
Thank you so much. I also bring your attention in our shared notes document to the links for the shared library and our drafts open for your comment on informed consent, ethics committees, and Bill of Rights. Now we're going to move forward to discussion 2. How can ethical legal and social implications of guidelines and strategies contribute to other work in the RDA community? I'm going to flash a slide up that will help prompt that. And above you can see those links that I had shared. So let's flip back to our slides and we'll take a look now at our final discussion questions.
Thank you very much. So we are back to those questions. We had first the bit of question that we addressed before, and now we have these 2 questions, but feel free to bring other. That was what came to our mind in the group. Of course, it's open to your own imagination and proposals. So how can ethical, legal, and social implication guidance and strategies contribute to other work in the RDA community? So how are we connected to what is happening elsewhere in RDA? And also in other contexts like government agencies and so on. And how can RDA as a whole raise awareness on the importance of this LC aspect? You saw different facets of it through the presentations. Regarding the most important societal goals and, of course, creating a better world, which is the basic idea of all these developments. So it may be ambitious, but I think that step by step, we all contribute to something, and coordinating all this is important in order to really go in the same directions. So that would be my own contribution. Anyone wanted to comment on that? Or talk on behalf of RDA?
Please, Lily, please.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Anna. I think I can say something just on behalf of myself.
Oh, can you tell who you are?
Oh, who you are? I'm Lily. I'm from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and I'm also very glad to join the CoData International Policy Committee with some of you. And I think for the adoption of this guidance, I think I have been kept on tracing and as an observer for the development of this guidelines for a while, and I think it must be very useful. And for the further things, how to better facilitate the adoption of these rules, I think first is try to select a few very excellent examples as you have been carrying on, and probably something more. So for different domains, different scenarios, they probably will have something as references, and they will always leading the role, and there will be somebody else who could find their solutions based on their own. And on the other hand, I was counting on that. I think it's a part of the opening, the opening session, or just a falling part. There was a data ethics working group for CoData, and they are also delivering something as suggestions about the data ethics. They identify, I remember, it's 5 domains of things. And it's quite similar, but a different focus. So another suggestion probably will be try to get engaged and keep an eye on some further things related. They are carrying the study and keep the inclusive dialogue. So always everybody will be on track. And last part, I think if it could be engaged from different dimensions, like not only for the data issues themselves, but also for the infrastructures, for the services they are trying to carry. And so it's through the lifelong circle of the research, it probably will help us to better know what the AI and the data really does in the real scenarios and how it can get our work both today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone? Yes, do you want to?
Hi, I'm Mary Almansick, currently with Digital Science and previously with the Research Data Alliance, and a person who, as a member of the Global Secretariat, supported the working groups and the dissemination of their outputs and recommendations. So my suggestion is specifically on number 2, I would suggest, given this important work and the several different outputs that have been so much time and effort have gone into, it would be really important to get this out there. Of course, RDA members can help disseminate this information within their institutions and amongst their colleagues. But I would suggest a series of webinars, perhaps one for each deliverable, professionally produced via RDA. And as a member of a working group, I'm happy to help on that initiative as well. But this is really important information that I think we need to get out there and promote as best we can.
I think this is a very good proposal. Webinars are really useful, and we have had a couple of webinars before with other groups, and they have been visualized by a number of people, and it's really a good way to, in a lively way, I would say, to disseminate things rather than, of course, I value the documents that you are engaged, as Natalie said, to read and dive into. And I also know by experience that you really need to be dedicated to something to go and read 40 pages. So I think that both are necessary, but the more accessible way of extracting the important elements through a webinar from documents is really a good proposal. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, and I guess the chairs of the working group will think of it and make proposals. Yeah, Francis.
Yeah, I think, and one of the challenges we have now is we have what I think are splendid deliverables, and so many people worked on them, so much work and research has gone into them. The question now is really how to disseminate them and how to exploit them, and also how to get them implemented as well. And since this topic itself is a very, very fast moving target where things develop every 30 seconds, you know, or even faster, so the question of how to disseminate these outputs, these deliverables from the working group, I think that's a question we're going to have to tackle, so that these deliverables can also continue to live and not just be some kind of, you know, Declaration of Helsinki or ICH guideline or something like this. They really have to live out there. So we have a lot of thinking still to do. And as Claudia reminds us, we only have 5 months left, and it's not a lot of time. So we have a lot of work to do to get this done. And if people have ideas or suggestions about how to make these documents not just pieces of paper or PDFs or something like that, but it's not the publication that's important, it's the use of them that's important for us, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and that might go beyond a working group of RDA, I would say. So we shouldn't be, well, I don't want to be pessimistic, but we shouldn't be too ambitious for our own aims. Because if you really, we all here involved, want to go down to the implementation of something that is evolving, and authorities have difficulties to implement things that are evolving. So in a way, it might be good to have a date at the date of, well, 24 October 2023 or a bit later. That's where we think what we think on these different domains, and then have dissemination through different ways. And then, of course, follow up what is happening. But we are not, I think, in a position where we can push to implement authorities. Who are we? I would say keep being humble. But at the same time, we probably can, with the help of RDA, follow what is happening to these deliverables. So that's the adoption stories, and all this RDA is really anchored in this. And I think this could be a good way, but I have another preoccupation, which is, and I already said it, all these deliverables, the legal, the consent, the ethics committees, the AI bill, are related to each other. Yes. And you could imagine that it could be very natural that, for example, I talk about the group I am in, the group on consent. It would be very natural to have an addressee of the recommendation, which would be the ethics committees, because ethics committees are going to look at consent. And we did not do that for the moment because there was another group working on ethics committees. So the integration of these different deliverables, keeping them as documents because we cannot merge everything with a common language and so on, but having these links, I would see it as one of the key elements for our working group in the few months that are still there, in order to be coherent in what we produce, and then follow up through different tools what is happening. But please.
Oh, in my role of gatekeeper or whatever, we have exactly 5 minutes.
I just wanted to bring up quickly, RDA at one time had a concept of maintenance groups. And if my understanding is correct, it's a way that you can, when a topic is so dynamic and a static document won't do, where you could update materials. And so that would be a possibility if that's still,
Anyone wanted to make suggestions or questions?
We do have a question from online from Deborah. Deborah asks, I'm wondering if it would make sense contacting the LLMs and their companies themselves to discuss the LC issues related to science. She asks, has the working group considered that?
That could be use cases.
But no, we have not. Deborah. Hi, Deborah. Deborah's from Brazil, and it's hot there. So as far as I know, we are not yet, and will not have time to contact these companies for use cases, but it's certainly a very good idea to disseminate. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. And I did make a presentation to industry in summer to Data Connect, which are female data scientists who work for industry in running AI and governing AI. I'll also be making a presentation on Thursday to the Argyle Summit, where about 400 representatives from industry will be present, where I'll be sharing the state of our deliverables and some of our emerging recommendations. So I think if each of us engages with the industry in the ways they get together with one another, we will find opportunities where we don't have to cold call individual companies, but we can still talk to practitioners and CEOs who are making decisions about AI in their organizational context.
I think that's excellent suggestion and proposal. Now, Ellie.
Thank you. I also made a presentation at a international summit that was held like 3 weeks ago in Istanbul, and there were lots of representatives from industry, especially from pharmaceutical industry. And I think the suggestion that Deborah has made is a must for our working group, because, you know, the people who are going to implement the ethical principles or the consent, the ethics committee issues, and so on and so forth are mostly the industry together with the scientists. So I think we should have them on board. And for the living document especially, I think their input is very important, so that what we suggest or what we see is in compliance with the reality, and that it can be in use. It has practical value.
I have to interrupt because you're going to cut the live streaming and the recording. So we have exactly 1 minute for each of the coordinators of the group to say goodbye and thank everybody for their attention. And please give us your feedback. Francis, please, your final words. Elif, Natalie. I finished. So Elif.
Elif? You already said what you wanted. So one is missing, and is
Natalie.
Natalie, you have something to say, and then I
Thank you to everyone for attending. Please visit us online, join the working group.
Yeah, thank everyone for coming in, and do give us advice and do give us guidance. Help us go forward with it. And thanks so much for listening, taking the time for it. So thank you. And you should close.
Of course, and your final words.
My final word are to say thank you to everybody, and keep an eye on documents. And I think that there will be some webinars which are more digestible maybe than long documents. And I really wish that we integrate all these deliverables, because we are one working group, not 5 different working groups. And I think this should be in the end the production.
Just want to say to Deborah, please send us an email, Deborah. We need your help. Okay, good. Thank you. That's for everybody here too, not just Deborah, but everybody.
Okay,
please.
and don't forget to put your name on the notes, so that, and your email, so that we can keep in contact with you. Thank you all.
The day is not over. We now have a very exciting session on use cases, deliverables, RDA. Okay, that starts in 15 minutes. No, it's going to be somewhere. I have to look it up, but everybody has their agenda, so you know where it's going to be. It's the adoption session.